Here's a question that I'm asked. Should I quit working my government job, or is it okay to work for the government as a voluntarist, as an anarcho-capitalist? And I don't have the correct answer for you. I can tell you what I think is right and wrong, but morality is subjective. It is not objective. Some people try to say that it is. I haven't been persuaded yet. We try to make it as anti-subjective as possible, as objective, but so far I haven't been persuaded of that. So you have to choose based on your values what you think is moral or not. Here are some of the things that I look at when I make the decision whether or not I should work for government. Kind of bottom line is the money I would be getting paid, where is the government getting that? Well, they're getting it from tariffs, taxes, whatever. It's by force. It's ill-gotten gain. It's not voluntarily exchanged money. And so just as I would not want a job in which the boss has to go out and steal the money in order to pay me, well, I don't want that money. That's dirty money. So yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. And there's really not any other way that government is materially funded. Now, you could say, well, yeah, we sell driver's licenses, the privilege, the right to drive on hard flat spots that government claims they own, that they paid for by taking money from people. It becomes this revolving argument that if you look at it with a sober intellectual mind, I imagine you would come to the same conclusion that I have, that governments can't get any money legitimately other than donated money. So if you're working a government job and it's 100% from donations, you pass that test. And this is again what my morals, my beliefs, my worldview tells me. So another thing I think about is, would this job exist in a free market if there wasn't this force of government, this initiated violence of government? Would this job still exist? And so I look at something like a police officer. Would there be someone who would walk around and make sure that the mean bad people weren't picking on the poor defenseless innocent people? Yeah, I think that job would exist. So am I saying that it's okay to be a police officer? No. Unfortunately, certain jobs within law enforcement and certain duties that you have to be prepared to do as a cop involve things that would not happen in a free market environment, like drug enforcement, other victimless crimes, code enforcement, prostitution, COVID mask wearing or vaccination getting, all these things that it's kind of your job as the paid enforcer to go out and take stuff from people's cold dead hands, or more likely their warm compliant hands. So if you're talking about a job as a police officer and the department agrees that you don't have to enforce any victimless crimes, all you're going to do is go out and drive around in a vehicle that is provided by non-stolen money. People have donated the vehicle. People are donating your salary, and your job is to drive around looking for people who are hurting other people and stopping the people who are doing the hurting. I say go for it. That job doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in law enforcement. If they tell you it does, it doesn't. Run it by me. I guarantee you that's not part of it. I wish that existed, but it doesn't. So, would this job exist without the government? So yes, that what I just described would exist. Would a post office exist without the government? Would there be some people who would accept your letter and then have their partners run it over across the country and drop it off at your aunt's house? Yeah, that job would exist. So I think that is a less bad thing to do than to be a drug enforcement agent or an internal revenue service agent. Because you think about it, in a free voluntary society, would there be someone whose job was to do the accounting and the stealing of money from people? Like, is that a morally, like, you feel good about doing that? Of course not. And I think some people probably say, well, we've got to pay for all the things that people want, and this is the only system that really works, and this is what we've got, and it's important that we do this. And after all, we here at the IRS, we don't choose how much taxes to take or what to do. We're told by the senators and the congressmen, they make all the laws. We're simply enforcing them and investigating them And that's all we're really doing. So if you want to use that as a cop out, that hey, wasn't, I didn't hate Jews. I was just my job to turn the oven on and burn people alive. Well, yeah, that doesn't work. You know that. That's morally no more acceptable than being an IRS agent. Now, school teacher, would there be a room in which people go and are taught important things? Yeah, there'd absolutely be that in a free society. It sure wouldn't be anything like a government school, though. So I'd say if you're going to work in a government school, you're teaching a government curriculum and with the government supervisors, the government system, the government style, that's probably not as good as being a school janitor or I don't know. It gets so dirty that I'm trying to find excuses and say, okay, if you're not out doing really nasty bad stuff as a government employee, I guess it's a little bit better. But I would say if there's any way to avoid this stuff, why not just avoid it? I think that would be the thing to do. And then another thing to look at would be the non-aggression principle, if that's important to you. And if you are interested in being an anarcho-capitalist, a voluntarist, that's kind of one of the foundational principles, is the non-aggression principle. And we all have slightly different understandings of it. My understanding is that I will not initiate violence against other people, and that includes their property. So that kind of takes out working for the government. You're the only way you're getting your money as a government employee is by stealing from people through taxation or other means. So that kind of nixes all government jobs right off the bat. But if we're going to kind of skip over that for a moment and look at the next layer, the next level, I would say that if you're kicking into somebody's house, you're breaking down the front door and going in and attacking them physically and putting them in a cage because they had some substance, some collection of atoms, whether it's marijuana or a Bible or cocaine or whatever happens, a gun, a silencer. One of the Democrat, what's his name? He was one of the presidents for the government. Trump, the one that made bump stocks illegal. If your job is to break into innocent people's homes, peaceful people, and steal their property, their bump stocks from them, that ain't cool. That's really violating the non-aggression principle. On the other hand, if you're a school custodian, then it's a little bit more okay. Still not ideal. Like, really look for something else would be my advice. Try to find a job that is as free market as possible, because I think you'll be happier there. You'll sure sleep better at night would be my prediction, depending on what your moral standards are and how serious you are about them. So yeah, I would say, nah, probably shouldn't keep working your government job. Should probably start actively looking for something in the free market. Thank you for asking. What other questions do y'all have? Feel free to shoot an email, and I would love to address it. Please do subscribe. Matters a lot to me. I really appreciate it when you do. And have a wonderful rest of your day.